In the name of Allah. So we finished some concepts. Today we'll come on PHP form handling, one of the most necessary parts of PHP, where we send data, we receive data, we handle some data and databases and also in web applications. Like what? Like saving some records in databases using forms, getting some data or searching some data or storing some data. We do using the forms. So the PHP super globals get and post are used to collect form data. And super globals, as you the homeworks for you, the super globals we had these super globals, the global server request post get files in v cookie and systems. Two of them post and get using in form handling. So how we can use them will come on. So let's build first a simple PHP HTML form. Simple HTML form. So I forgot to start XAMPP server. Let's just start it. So XAMPP is started. Now we have a form, I think. Let me check it. So 1818 report. So we have a test input here. So we don't need this anymore. We don't need test anymore. Let's clear it. Visual Studio Code. Let me open the project, open folder, and then your project folder. XAMPP, htdocs, and class project. Select. So now we have a form. So we don't need to these sections. We will comment them. We need to comment them. So we have form at the top of this one. At the top, we have a form. Here is a form. How we can create a form using the form tag of HTML. We have an action for this and also a method. Then we have labels and inputs as you learned in HTML. I don't know you learned or not, but I think you did. So our form starts from here. The form. We need to define an action page for this and also a method. We need to define an action and a method. Firstly, we need an input. So we have an input. Let me see here. We have a test input. Let's name this something like, let me do an H1 PHP form handling. Form handling. So it will come on the top. Now, like, let's suppose we are registering a user. We are registering a user. For that, we need to create a form. So first thing we will come that name. The name should be name also. This name should be the same as the name of this label. But in the name of this input, as you learned in HTML lessons, it must not have any space. Must not have any space because we will use this for our PHP forms. Yeah. For better readability, we may use the labels. We may use the labels from here. If you see this name, but if you are omitting this label like this, you are removing this label, you must put something like placeholder, and like this your name. Now this will be finished, but you will have a input with a text inside it. But that's not important. That's not good. You must have a label for better readability. For better readability, we must have a label for all of them. If you are using IDs for styling, you might post an ID. You might put an ID, like name as an ID. And this one for this. The for in the label section must be the same as the ID in here. The for and the label must be the same with an ID we have. So this was our first input with details. Now we need to derive another input. So I need to do bootstrap here, form group, and dev with form group. And also I'm trying to input. So before input, let's me a label, and that label should be last name. Last name. Then an input with text, input with text with class of last name, an ID of lst name, and class should be the form control for better design, form control. Then you can put a placeholder for this. And also in HTML you learn something that we have a required one. Some of them should be required. Mm, we can call this. Required is that you must fill this. You must fill this. Name we use for accessing in PHP. ID we use for JavaScript, for designing CSS and JavaScript. But name is for accessing them in PHP. So here we define it two columns. Need one more. I need to define a button. I need to define a button. The button a label like submit. Submit. You have learned this, I think. And then instead of input, I will type a button. Button with type of submit. Then it's like save. The name should be save or submit, something else. I need to put a class for this. Need to put class for this as I'm using the bootstrap. The first thing should be in button btn. Another btn. Oh, sorry for this. btn primary for a blue color. So let's see. Now we have a submit. That's the save button. And this one, that's not required, but you may use, you may not. And also you can put a BR after this to break line. Sorry. Break line for break line between these. Oh, what happened here? Class form group. Oh, I forgot the div. Now we have a name and so like something last name A B C D. Save. Now the type is get. You will get the form data in browser. If the type is get, you will see the form data in here. That's a problem. It's a problem if you have sending sensitive data. When you are sending sensitive data, so simple way this they also define it a form here and action on welcome.php with method of post. Welcome on post also, but in here they have an details. So this was the simple form creation and submitting them. This only HTML. Now we have worked only HTML. Now as I said, please fill out. Why fill out? Because we say that it must be filled. This is a simple HTML only, not PHP. So now we want to do a PHP also here. We want to do PHP here. For that, we need to send this form somewhere. We need to send this form somewhere. So you can send in the same section or another files also. Let's create another file like name save.php. Save.php. Now we are sending this as a post to save.php file. Save.php file. Now let's reload this and send that. So as I said, it's init records. So save. Now it's sent to save.php. Now showing us save.php, not this form. So in the save.php, we need to handle this. We need to handle this records that we are receiving. How we can receive this? First, as this PHP, we need to define a PHP tag for this. We need to define PHP tag for this. So We need to close or leave it as it is. Now, how we can access it? We can access directly with post super global. How? You can do echo $ post, and from post the name you are sending, like name. If you now reload this, continue. Now it says the name is admin. We sent it from this form. We send it from here. Now you are receiving this from here. How? By using this post super global. This super global that handles form data. When you are sending some data to another page, we are sending to some data to our database or something. Let's create a simple database also. Let's create simple database for this. PHP oh, 1818 PHP admin, or you can use the shell to create a database. You can use the shell to create a database. How I can, as we learned it in last semester, I think. So we need to create a database. Create database class project. Class project. Use class project. We need to insert and create a table for this. Create table, test table with some records ID with integer and primary key, and also auto increment. Then we need to have a name varchar with 20 characters. Then we need to have a last name, lst name or last name with varchar, and size maybe 20, and some more columns. But for now we don't need them enough. Now so we have an ID, primary key, and also we have a name and last name. That's lst name. So describe this table, test table, insert. So class project test table, not test. Oh, we forgot the test, but test table. Now it says we have an ID, a name, a last name, and the ID is not nullable with a primary key and an auto increment. So we have created this one. Now we have access to this class project. Refresh this one. Now we have class project. We have the test table available, and the table is empty. You can see the structure for this. Now we have ID, set primary key with auto increment, name and last name. So now we want to connect to this one. How we can connect? How we can connect? As a project structure, as I said, the database connection should be in the includes section. Now you create a new file in its name of db.php with name of db.php. In this file, connect to database. Connect to database. How you can connect? You can define a variable con, then mysqli connect. mysqli connect. What it needs? First, it needs a server name. It needs a server name. Server name is local host. So what it needs more? It needs a username. Username is root. This third thing, it needs a password. Password is empty. The last thing, it needs a database. It needs the database. Our database is class project. So enough. This is enough for our connection. Now let's save it. Host name, username, password, and database. Database class project. So this is simply we are connected to our database. So how we can check this? We can do an if condition. We can do if condition. If $con, if $con connected, echo with connected. So else die, if not just die, finish the connection. You can do this, but it's not required. It's not required. Sometimes you require this one. If connect, good. If not connected, you must finish the connection. So now we are connected. Now we need to include that. We need to include that one in our field. So how you can include, write include in double quotations or parentheses. You can work like this or you can work like this one inside this. But we use the double quotations. Firstly, write the folder name. Our folder name is includes. Then inside our folder name we have a db.php. As we did for header and footer in index, you see, we did including header and footer the same way. We include the database. We include the database. Now we need to check if the save button is click it or not. If click it, something should be happening. If not click it, it shouldn't work. How? Let's see. We use that if then s set dollar sign post. Then in our form, what the name of the button that we have? The name of button, we must have a name for our button. Our name should be submit or save or something else, anything that you like. But the name must be present to access it in here. To access it in here. So it said if the submit button is clicked, if the submit button is clicked, what should be done? We need to firstly grab our data. We need to receive our data and insert it in a variable, store it in a variable. So we had two data only. We had only two data. That's name and last name. Name and last name. So first we need to define a variable, name. Then we need to get that variable. How we can get using the post super global and dollar sign post and from form what was the name for our input box for name? The name was name only, yeah? So this name comes from this form that we have that input the type text and name is name. We have the name. This the thing the name inside double quotation we get that inside this post. So it's simple easy. So how easy? You must define the names correctly in here. The name should be correctly in here. Then you receive that name using the post global. You receive that name using the post global. Then the next one was LST name. Then what was the inside that? Post LST name. So it's enough. As why we have only two. Now we need to store this on our database. Now we need to store this to our database. How we can do? First, we need to write a query. We need to write query. What query? Insert into test table. If you are inserting all of them, just write values. Values, then your variables. So first thing as we have in null. Why null? Because we have a auto increment field. When we are not mentioning the column names that you are inserting some data on it, then for auto increments you must put null. For auto increment fields only, not all the fields. The fields that's auto increment because it will insert only the record itself. So the next thing is we have a name. We have name, dollar name. Next thing we have dollar lst name. Then close this one. Close this one. So it's done. Now we need to query this one. We need to query this one using what? MySQLi query. Then first thing our connection was count. The next thing we need to put our query. We need to put our query. So without inserting anything, we have then this one. Let's test. Let's test. So let me clear this section, reload it. Now we need something like test or dummy data. Dummy data. Click submit. Now it says that includes db.php. Oh, the spelling is wrong. Instead of includes, we have written nlqts. nlqts. So we need to fix this one. This is the general problems that we may face. So let's refresh this once again. So we have name dummy data save. Now another error we are facing. What's that's a listing name. Why it comes? Because in our form we don't have a input that has a name of list name. So let's see. In form, instead of list name, we have last. You must put this inside the post. You must put the same thing. Why I did this one? Because you must should be ready for these errors. You must correctly place the things. Correctly place the things that's right in your forms, and the same thing should be in your PHP. The same thing should be in your PHP. So now we will not receive any error, I think. So let's refresh, continue. Now save it. So how we know to save it? We didn't put any success message. We just inserted. So let's browse this one. Now we have two data. We have two data. Why two data? Because one was the last name error. We didn't receive the error. Another thing, we put the null, but we are receiving numbers here. As I said, in auto increment fields, you must put a null value if you are inserting in all records. And this next thing, if you are using this way, you must know the column orders. You must know the column orders. The column orders should be available. So we need to put this one inside the so like save inside the variable. So do some conditional thinking. If dollar save successful, if dollar save echo save it successfully, successfully, else echo something like maybe error, and then we need to connect this MySQLi error, MySQLi error and $con. So first thing, when we want to assure ourselves that this data saved, we do if save happened, then data saved. If not, show me the error. What was the error? So let me do something like this. I'm removing the columns. I'm removing the column count. So what I will get now? Let me reload this one. New data. Now save. But now it says MySQLi exception. Column count does not match value at row 1. Column count does not match. Why? Because I have three columns. ID, name, last name. But I'm inserting into only two column name. So I am receiving an error. Instead of this showing this one. Now if you check, it says the error. The what? Fatal error. What's the error? It says the column count is not correct. The column count is not completely. So how I can achieve this one? If you're inserting only in a specific records. If you're inserting only in a specific records, you must mention those column names. You must mention those column names. How you can mention those columns? Just put a parenthesis, and inside parenthesis name the columns. Our was name. The second was shit, last name or lst name. Now we will not receive an error. Now we will not receive any error. Let's do new data. Save. Save it successfully. Now show us there's no error. Data save it successfully. Data save it successfully. Sit please. We will continue up to 12 and then you can go home. So this was connecting to database, inserting to database, and doing and or overcoming errors. Overcoming the errors. This was this using the post method, and also you work it on the get. You can also get some data also. Just change to this one to get and also the form to get. So if you're having some problems, you can go for a break, then you will come back.